Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be making a extra large turkey carving board out of some cherry, a little bit of walnut, and some hard maple. First things first, we're going to go ahead and rough cut everything down at the miter saw. Get it into strips of about 26 inches. So I'd like to swiggle on some pencil lines onto the side of the board that I'm going to run through the joiner. That just helps me know how many passes I need to take to make sure it's flat. Once the lines are gone, I know I'm good. I can move on. Now, after jointing one face and one edge, I'm going to take the boards over to the planer and surface the opposite face so they're both parallel. Okay, so the next step in the milling process is just to run the edge that I jointed up against the fence of the table saw and rip these into about 1 3/8 inch strips. And that's going to give me a little bit of wiggle room or play when I go to plane these panels down, because I want this board to be about 1.25 inches or so thick total when I'm all said and done. Now, after I've ripped all the pieces and just kind of laid them out on my bench, and I'm flipping them over on their edge so the edge grain is pointing or facing up, and I'm just kind of rearranging them to see how I like them, and kind of just played it by ear and found something I liked, and now I'm going to be gluing them all together. And because this carving board is going to be roughly 20 inches wide when it's all said and done, I am going to glue it together in 2 separate sections so I can flatten each section and then join them both together one final time at the end to make sure it's nice and flat. Now a few passes on the planer cleans them up real nice. rejointed each side of these boards before I put them together here, and it makes just for a real easy glue up when you're doing wide panels like this, because you just got to worry about that seam in the middle, and it's pretty easy just to get it dead on just with your fingers and by feel. So now just a quick scrape of the glue squeeze out on that joint to get it all nice and cleaned up, and it's time to throw it on the CNC. I'm going to start out with the juice groove, and to make that I put in a 3/4 inch bowl bit into the router. I really like using the CNC to make juice grooves now that I'm lucky enough to have one. It just makes it foolproof. I mean, as long as you design the file right, but there's no burning at all. These used to take a lot of touch up by hand by me in the past to make. And now I switched over to a 1/4 inch spiral upcut bit to cut out the perimeter. A flush trim bit is used here to take care of the tabs left by the CNC, and a 1/4 inch round over gets put on the top and bottom of the board. I'm going to use a cove bit with a bearing on the router table to make the carrying handles. And I also have a little setup jig that I've used in the past that you'll see me here use to get the correct height for the bit. So the router table left a little bit of burning while making the handles, but a little trick that I found to help get rid of that is to put a little bit of mineral oil or whatever oil you're using for the board, just a little dab on there, and then a Dremel with one of these little abrasive pads on it, and just go to town and just keep adding oil as it dries up. I don't know what the oil does really, but without it, it just burns. It makes the burns worse. So it turns out really nice, pretty easy. Now I'll go through the grits with the sander, starting with 80 grit and stopping at 150, and in between every grit, just going through that juice groove channel by hand, and the handles as well, which is the most time-consuming part, but it doesn't need a lot of cleanup because the CNC did a pretty good job, but you still got to get in there and sand it with each grit. After I'm done sanding with 120, I will spray a little bit of water on the board on both sides, kind of rub it in, just get the whole thing wet to raise the grain. That way, when I go and put the oil on, or when these are washed by hand at home, they don't get fuzzy and furry, kind of give a rough feeling to your hand. This makes them just really smooth and stay smooth. And finally, for finish, just using some regular old mineral oil that I get from CVS. Like to pour that on pretty liberally, let it soak in, wait about 30 minutes, reapply for any areas that become dry. You just really want it to soak down deep into the wood. And after I'm done with the mineral oil, I just take some butcher block conditioner, which I just get at Home Depot or on Amazon, and it's just a little bit of beeswax mixed with mineral oil. That's just my final coat that I let soak into the board for another 30 minutes or an hour or so, and then wipe off the excess. After putting the feet on, I'm gonna call this one done. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. Can't wait to use this board on Thanksgiving, and it's going to go over to my parents' house as a gift, so I think they'll like it. What do you think? Catch you next time.